I'd be glad to take any questions that you might have. I came here to accept the full responsibility for what I've done. I am deeply regretting what I have done, and I am not resigning. I have made it clear that I accept responsibility for this, and people who draw conclusions about me are free to do so. I've worked for the people of my district for 13 years and in politics for 20 years, and I hope that they see fit to see this in the light that it is, which is a deeply regrettable mistake.
Why do you draw the distinction between things that you acted or tweeted before you were married and after you were married? You're still a member of Congress beforehand. Do you think it would be inappropriate before you were married?
I think it is more inappropriate things that I have done since I'm married. My primary sense of regret and my primary apology goes to my wife. I should not have done this, and I should not have done this, particularly when I was married. That's why I make that distinction.
Why would you do this after you're married? You know it's wrong. The question people, your constituents, and a lot of us have is, what were you thinking?
You know, I don't know what I was thinking. This was a destructive thing to do. I'm apologetic for doing it. It was deeply, deeply hurtful to the people I care about the most. It was something that I did that was just wrong, and I regret it.
Did you use government resources for this kind of activity? And if so, is that a violation of the public trust?
I did not.
You didn't use a congressional phone, congressional email, on congressional time?
No, I didn't do. Listen, I'm going to try to tell you everything that I can remember. Was my BlackBerry is not a government BlackBerry. My home computer is usually where I did these things.
Usually?
I don't have a knowledge of every last communication, but I don't believe that I used any government resources.
Andrew Breitbart was standing where you're standing not more than 20 minutes ago and implied that he had an X-rated photo of you. Can you say that is not true?
No, I cannot. I regret not being honest about this. This was a big mistake I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. I'm still to this moment. I was trying to protect my wife. I was trying to protect myself from shame. It was a mistake, and I really regret it. This was a mistake, and I'm very sorry for it, and I take it seriously. But I am, and where I go from here and what steps I take it seriously. That this was a destructive thing to do that I deeply regret.
Congressman, your wife is not here. Are you going to split up with your wife because of this?
I love my wife very much.
Are you going to split up?
I love my wife very much, and we have no intention of splitting up over this. We have been through a great deal together, and we will weather this. I love her very much, and she loves me.
Where is she? Sir, where is she?
Are they all constituents, or are they, where they are?
These are generally, in some cases, I initiated them. They're generally women that I met on Facebook.
Do you have anything to say to Andrew Breitbart?
I'm deeply apologetic, first and foremost, to my wife, to the many people that put so much faith and confidence in me, that watched me make this terrible mistake. But everyone that I misled, everyone in the media, my staff, the people that I lied to about this, they all deserve an apology.
But after Chris Bragg, after Eliot Spitzer, why the decision to do such a thing, especially as a member of public office?
This was a very dumb thing to do, and it was a destructive thing to do. But it wasn't part of any plan to be hurtful to my wife. It wasn't part of a plan to be deceitful to you. It wasn't part of a plan to be... It wasn't part of a plan. It was a destructive thing that I did that I accept responsibility for. But if you're looking for some kind of deep explanation for it, I simply don't have one, except that I'm sorry.
When Chris Lee sent that photo and was caught and had to resign, did that make you stop and think maybe I should be doing this because I could be caught next? Did that ever go through your mind?
I didn't think of it that way. I would think about, from time to time, I would say to myself, this is a mistake, or this conversation someone could listen in on or translate to someone else. I know that there is the sense that everything is part of a plan, and it was thought through and calculated. In this case, it was just me doing a very dumb thing, and for that, I accept the responsibility. Yeah, sure.
Can you tell us when you sent them?
I didn't see any of the pictures that were released today. I can tell you that there were some women that I had conversations with that the inappropriate things were sent by me, and I accept responsibility for that.
Any of these women to apologize?
Look, the last thing on this day, when I have done this harm to my wife and my family, that I'm standing before all of you and accepting responsibility for this shameful thing, is thinking about next year's election or the election after that. The first thing I need to do is make sure that obviously this never ever happens again, and that I make it up to my wife and to my family and to all the people that I've harmed here.
Is professional help?
I have not, I'm going to try to handle this, and I haven't ruled out perhaps seeing someone, but I'm not blaming anyone. This is not something that can be treated away. This is my own personal mistake. This is not something, this is a weakness, a deep weakness that I have demonstrated, and for that I apologize.
You're not sure about the time that you sent these pictures?
How long this has gone on?
Some of these relationships, some of date back as I think much as 3 years.
When did you realize that what you were saying wasn't true and that you couldn't stick with your original story, that you had to come out here today?
Almost from the moment that I, when you say something like that that's so wrong, I was embarrassed. And I didn't want it to lead to other embarrassing things. And it was a dumb thing to do, to try to tell lies about it, because it just led to more lies. But almost immediately after I said the lie, I knew that I was putting people in a very bad position, and I didn't want to continue doing it. Excuse me?
Did any of these women ever ask you for anything in exchange for not coming forward, regularly coming forward?
No.
Have you spoken to any of these Broussard, one of the women?
Megan Broussard was one of the women.
Congressman, when did you tell your wife?
My wife has known about some of these online relationships since before we were married, and we spoke frankly about them because, we spoke frankly about them. But she didn't know until this morning that I had not been telling the truth about whether I posted the Twitter posting last week.
What do you say to Andrew Breitbart, who was accused of hacking your account by many left-wing blogs, and people on CNN even? What do you say to them?
Well, I'm here primarily to express my apologies to my wife and family, but anyone who was misled, all of you who were misled, the people who I lied to, I have an apology for all of them.
But not specifically for him? Not an apology?
Look, if I believe that, I believe that everyone deserves an apology here, and I certainly am. I'm certain. I'll be. Here's what.
Where's your wife right now, sir?
I apologize to Andrew Breitbart. I apologize to the many other members of the media that I misled. I apologize first and foremost to my wife and to my family.
Where is she right now? Where is she right now?
She is not here.
Where is she?
Did you get involved in this activity? Were you alone? Were you alone a lot?
I don't have. That's no. I have a loving wife. It's not anything like that. I treated it as a frivolous thing, not acknowledging that it was causing harm to so many people and would eventually come out. Yes, sir.
Reaction to any of the leadership, the congressional leadership, Leader Pelosi or
I spoke briefly to Leader Pelosi before I came over here. She said to be truthful, and she said to say what you know, and was thankful that I was doing that today.
Illegal substances when you sent them. Did you use illegal substances?
She was not happy. Told me as much. My primary apology, as I've said several times, is to my wife Huma, but she made it very clear that she thought what I did was very dumb, and she was not happy about it. but she also, and she's very disappointed, and she also told me that she loved me and wanted us to pull through this.
You said you tell us, sir.
I'm sorry, sir.
You were a sex addict? Did you describe yourself as such?
I did a regrettable thing, and for that I apologize.
You said you were on the phone. Did you have phone sex with these women? Did you ever have an affair with one of these women?
I've never, as I've said in my statement, I never met any of these women.
Did you have phone sex?
I never was in the same room with them. I was never had any physical relationship whatsoever. I am reluctant for their privacy, and since their names are coming out, of characterizing our exchanges, except that they were consensual. But I'm not going to rebut anything or dispute anything that any of the women that have come forward and said. They have every right to do so, and so I'm not going to make any efforts to characterize those conversations.
Is your oath of office to do this while if you may not have used the congressional phone and congressional email, but to do it on congressional time as a congressman? Have you?
Well, I mean the congressional time could theoretically be anything. Congressmen work long hours, but I don't believe that I did anything here that violates any law or violates my oath to my constituents. What I did was something that demonstrated a very deep personal failing, and that's why I'm here to apologize.
Aside from the tweets that you say and the photos that exist, is there any other type of behavior that in the privacy, what you thought was privacy, you conducted as a Congress member that you could be ashamed of? Is there anything, have you solicited or engaged with any service of women or anything else?
No, I've never had sex outside my marriage, and I've done these things, and I regret them. But I've never done anything that you described, and I don't know where else to get it. I'm not making any excuses for my behavior. I don't do drugs. I was not drinking. That wasn't the cause of this. This was me doing a dumb thing and doing it repeatedly and then lying about it. And that's all there is. I'm here to accept responsibility for this. I'm not asking to shift the blame to anyone else or to any external force or anything else.